Hello everybody, I hope you're all good. So most of you know me now, like we spoke and stuff. So yeah, we're gonna do this wee session. So I'll just get to it. Just get started. So yeah, firstly I'll do a wee welcome to Pitch. So welcome to Pitch, Scotland's first conference of hip hop and underground culture, taking place in Glasgow's Creative East End and across YouTube. Pitch Scotland will forge new networks across genres and disciplines and celebrate the culture and diversity of voices reflecting contemporary Scotland. So yeah, today's session, we're going to do mic talk and we're going to have a little chat about what hip hop from Scotland means to you. So I think we'll get some really interesting chat about it, and hopefully we've all got a lot to say on the issue. But right, so we'll start with a wee introduction. So my name's Sanjeev. As a lot of you know, I do the Hip Hop Scotland podcast and a few different bits and bobs in between, and I also produce. But what about yourself, Arissa? Just give us a wee little intro.
Hi everyone. I'm Arissa, and I'm a writer and editor based in Edinburgh. And I'm the editor of Vest magazine, and I used to be the editor of List. I write mostly about music, most recently a book about women in hip hop called Flip the Script. And I write for places like The NME and 45 and Clash. And I'm also on the board of the Scottish Music Centre. So that's me.
Right, good to get you on here. I'm sure you have an interesting insight on things on your end. What about yourself, Clarissa? Give us a wee lowdown on yourself.
Hey, I'm Clarissa. I'm a singer-songwriter, rapper from Glasgow. Just recently and last year dropped my EP, Honey I'm Gone. Recently just dropped it cover, been doing some performances out in Edinburgh, just on my first festival out in Kelburn as well, and I've got Kinsarts coming up, and I've got Stereo in October as well.
Nice, a lot of big things coming up for you, and also a lot of people know your name from the last couple of years, so it's big things coming for you.
Yeah.
We'll turn to Sean. Most of us probably know you, but just give us a wee lowdown on yourself.
So I'm Sean Focus. I run a media company. We look after artists, creatives, and I'm an engineer by profession, and I'm an artist based in Scotland. I'm really bad at selling myself, so forgive me, guys. I do a couple things. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're a really big guy in the scene. I think you're really doing some great things, and a lot more to come, of course. We'll go to Mog. Give us your introduction to yourself, Mog.
Well, my name's Mog. I started off rapping in Glasgow longer ago than I'd care to admit, but came to Edinburgh about 2010, so I've pretty much been based here ever since. So for the best part of 20 years, I've been rapping and working with various artists in the country.
Yeah.
Wicked.
Yeah, Mog's a proper legend for everybody that doesn't know.
Yeah.
Been in the game for a long time. Okay. But yeah, that's cool. So we've got a wee introduction. We'll go into our first kind of talking point then. So of course, hip hop means so much to all of us. It's an amazing art form. But I wanted to ask you guys the first time you sort of first heard or saw hip hop from Scotland. So yeah, when did you first experience it, and yeah, what did you think of it? So we'll start off with Sean on this one.
That's mad. All right, I'll be quick because I know we've got like 50 minutes left.
Yeah.
I first seen hip hop in Scotland when I come 2011-ish. I think I moved straight to Edinburgh, and yeah, it wasn't as predominantly vibrant as it is now. A couple of people put in some work, and it's now an exciting thing. Do you know what I mean? So apart from that, when I seen it, it was Skyboy, and then apart from Skyboy, there wasn't really much happening on the side of Edinburgh like that. Do you know what I mean? It was opening, and obviously I wasn't really well rehearsed with what was going on in Glasgow, so I couldn't really kind of speak on Glasgow as per se. Do you know what I mean? And then yeah, it's just at this point now, hip hop is definitely changed. music is definitely changing Scotland. Definitely, do you know what I mean? It's gone to a better place. You know what I mean? And it keeps evolving and getting better with the years.
Yeah, I think it's like slowly moving away from the stereotypical sort of indie rock that people think of when they think of Scotland. So it's definitely moving forward in every way, I guess. What do you think, Clarissa? When did you kind of first stumble across the scene?
I would say 2008, early 2008, 2007. Carbon days, Mickey Ferrari days. There used to be Jules, Proud, them lot. So that's when I first kind of come across hip hop in Glasgow. It was more it was grimy, it was hard, it was, it was more inspired them times by New York, a lot of American hip hop. So where guys like Chico, Corey, just guys like that they were already from New York, from different places. Joseph from Nigeria, lived in New York as well. So obviously when I come here, a lot of my inspirations anyway, starting off in music, was all American based. So when I come here, met them guys, I was like, I saw a whole other side to Glasgow that I'd never seen before, because obviously I grew up in more predominantly white areas, so I didn't really see that. It was kind of completely different vibe. So when I come, it was like 2008, and since then it's just been growing and growing.
It's quite an interesting point you made about kind of being in predominantly sort of white areas, because you wouldn't really hear like hip hop. Like for me when I was growing up, it was sort of similar. So I never really related Scotland to hip hop as such. But I think it's
definitely for me as well. I didn't relate like a lot of things in Scotland to hip hop. It was just like I knew what I liked, or my brother, my cousins and stuff like that, what we listened to. And then come into the city centre, I met everybody, and I was like, okay, this was a whole different scene to what I'd grown up in.
Yeah. What do you think, Carissa?
So I was introduced to a lot of music by my older sister growing up. She's 9 years older than me. So my music taste was really kind of defined by her. And I remember being introduced to Two Tone Committee quite early on. And I remember there was definitely others as well that she introduced me to, but I couldn't remember at the moment. But my education in hip hop, UK hip hop generally came much later, because my household was very much like surrounded by American hip hop and R&B because of my sister. So I grew up with people like Biggie and Tupac and Queen Latifah, and not people like London and Posse and Cookie Crew and Roots Manuva, who came much later. And I couldn't tell you when I first saw Scottish hip hop in person, but I kind of assume it was probably somewhere like the Meadows Festival here in Edinburgh, which I used to always go to as a kid. And I go to a lot. I used to go to a lot when I was growing up as a teen, and there was always rappers performing. And I remember that really clearly. So I feel like that's probably the first place I ever saw people actually rap.
Yeah, that's really cool actually. The fact that you kind of saw it from that angle. I think most of us, probably the majority of us, grew up on like the American scene. So yeah, it's quite interesting that from that side of things. But what about you, Mog? When did you first find the scene?
Well, the first I ever heard about Scottish hip hop was I had a bunch of mates that were older than me who went to an over 18s Cypress Hill gig in the Barras, and must have been 98. And I was too young at the time, but I remember when they came back, they said there was these crazy Glaswegian guys in trackies rapping along to American, sort of beats and that. But I had no idea what it sounded like. I just got it second hand for them. And then I think maybe when about 2000, 2001, I saw a newspaper article about Eastbourne. I don't know if anybody's heard of him. He goes by Riz as well. But it was an article that said that he went and played a show in Germany to 10,000 people, but if he came home to where he was from, there was only 10 people. Mm-hmm. So it was sort of talking about how even back then people from Scotland rapped and got no respect for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sorry to budge in there. Speaking about that, I actually slept out someone that I actually seen before Sky. So it was Mad Hat Mago. I don't know if anybody knows a guy called Mad Hat Mago. He's like the first Scottish real I've actually come across to say hung about him and heard him rap. So yes, Mad Hat Mago. Yeah, that's the first person that actually showed me hip hop in Scotland. He was on the Fire in the Booth. He's the first and only Scottish rapper to be on the Fire in the Booth.
I suppose I'll let you guys know how I found the scene, which was probably a quite common one for people like of my kind of age was Shogun, was the first time I saw it. I think it was Vulcan video, which kind of went viral. And before that, I wasn't really, obviously listened to hip hop, but I was not aware of any local artists. And I think that when that blew up, that really kind of got me into Scottish hip hop. And then obviously lockdown, when I started producing and talking to other people. So yeah, it's really interesting that we've got kind of those different ways that we found it. So yeah. So yeah, we're going to move on to the next wee segment. We're going to have a wee discussion about what hip hop from Scotland means to you and how has it impacted your life, musically, non-musically, just as a whole. We're going to start with Clarissa. We've had a long chat about this, so she's got a lot to say.
So what is the question specifically? Like Scottish music as in just artists I know, or specifically like Scottish rappers with Scottish accents?
Well, just whatever. Like, what does hip hop as a whole and hip hop from Scotland mean to you, and how's it impacted you? So it could be whatever you feel.
Well, hip hop to me as well, it's as much as it's music, it's like a lifestyle. It's, you know, it's just something that's within you. It's like who you are. Again, that's why I don't really look at things as like Scottish hip hop or like Japanese hip hop. I just think like hip hop's hip hop, you know. But in terms of in Scotland, definitely, obviously me growing up, I was more inspired by American music. So I used to rap in American accent. So again, my dad, my uncle would say to me, why are you rapping in this accent? Like if you go somewhere, people are going to da 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 da. So I was like, cool. So obviously I just kept doing my thing. And then eventually, like I never really heard a lot of Scottish rappers until I started kind of doing my thing and coming in the scene. Then I started hearing like the male rappers, but then everyone as well, I would say like my accent is a bit more like diverse. It's a bit more kind of mixed. So it wasn't as strong. So obviously when I heard that compared to what I was doing as well, it was just like, it's kind of reassuring just to hear like other people doing it. But definitely inspired me in the sense of just embracing like who you are, your accent, you know what I mean, where you're from, like your culture as well. So
Yeah.
it's definitely gave me that boost to be like, yeah, just own it, do your thing, you know,
Yeah.
it'll grow on people at some point. Just like obviously like UK rap, when people think UK rap, they think more Birmingham, London, Manchester. And I think a lot of people in Glasgow now is trying to do that whole sound as a whole, and that's where it's getting mixed up. But that's why I still appreciate the rappers that come through with that thick Scottish accent, you know, and just kind of do the thing and mix it up.
Yeah. What about in terms of like mental health and just generally hip hop and music? Is that means
a great outlet in general in life for anybody? Do you know what I mean? You can't say you don't enjoy music, like something and some sort of music or some sort of genre somewhere like brings something out in people, you know. So definitely brings unity, it brings happiness, it brings peace. It can also bring a lot of violence, do you know what I mean, depending on what type of music you're using. And that's why I think you need to be careful with music as well. Be careful what your agenda is and kind of what you're putting out there, you know, conscious of that.
Definitely in terms of hip hop, because it was built on that community culture. It was built on supporting each other. It was built on like talking about what needs to be talked about. So 100%. What do you think, Arisa?
So,
how has it helped you?
I think once I started like writing and writing about hip hop, I developed more of an interest in what was happening locally, and like that happened quite naturally. But I think it was really around the time of the Scottish independence referendum in 2014 that I really saw how powerful hip hop can be as a tool for like activism beyond America, because obviously it's an African American art form, but I really saw how it could be used in other contexts, and that's probably when I started to get more immersed in the scene and learn about what was happening. And I think as well, maybe around the same time, actually, the Young Father's success had a massive impact on just bringing more attention to what was happening in Scotland. And I think I probably started seeing more hip hop and lineups around then. But hip hop's always been something I've kind of used as a crutch, I guess, in my life. Whenever there's been like a difficult moment or something, it's always been what I've turned to, just get through moments, and everyone has genres of music like that. But I think, whether it's American hip hop, what I grew up with, or what I kind of learned from UK hip hop further down the line, there's always been that kind of character of hip hop in my life, helping me out, whatever problems I have.
Yeah, I think everybody's kind of got kind of music to help them through difficult times and through kind of different feelings and different emotions. For example, like if I'm feeling angry, I just stick on like heavy metal, blast it full blast, and it makes me feel better at the end of it. So yeah, I get what you mean by that. What about yourself, Sean? How has Scottish hip hop impacted you?
Do you know what? That's if I should answer honestly, that's a hard thing to answer.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Just to consider that from Mog's been doing it longer than in Scotland. Do you know what I mean? But just to consider from a standpoint where if I looked out directly to try see hip hop play in Scotland, I would see just a handful of people. So in a sense, we've been part of what's been happening around us. So it's kind of hard to answer to say how it's impacted me. But what it's done for me was it gave me a new home. You know what I'm saying to you? Like, because just through music and how people receive me in Scotland, I stopped moving around. I used to just move around. I've been in Ireland, I've been in Manchester, I've been in Birmingham, I've been in Africa. And then just being in Scotland in that moment where the music kind of scene is coming together, because it was like parts about, you know what I'm saying? And then just being in that moment, I think impacted me in a way where then I met my partner, you know what I'm saying, to met my friends, my close friends and things like that, you know what I mean? But yeah, it's helped me in that way, I suppose. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good point in terms of like the way it's just welcomed you and the way it welcomes everybody, because like I've sort of had that as well. I felt like the community where like I just sort of turned up out of nowhere and people were so welcoming, like people wanted to support you, people wanted to help you, and like that's the thing I really love about the local scene here, is because everybody just is there for everybody. So that's bang on the money. What about yourself, Bob? You've obviously been doing it a long time, so you probably saw different things to us, so let us know.
Well, I think the thing that always bothered me when I was young was anytime I saw any sort of representation of where I lived and, you know, the sort of way things went, it was always comical. It was never serious, you know what I mean? It was always Rab C. Nesbitt chewing the fat, everybody sort of taking the piss at the fact that we're all mental, you know what I mean? But nobody ever spoke about the sort of harsh side of it, you know what I mean, and what the consequences were. Yeah. So, and there wasn't really a Scottish scene to feed off at the time. I had never heard another Scottish rapper when I started writing and rapping. Yeah. So it was basically just my way of sort of, you know, you couldn't really sit down and talk to somebody about that kind of stuff. They would look at you funny, you know what I mean? But if you put it in a rhyme, then suddenly you see people going, oh, that's quite clever and I like that. And you know what I mean? It's a way to actually get a conversation started about how bad things were in places like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's the great thing about what you do, what you still do, is like you just speak the truth. And it just means so many people can connect with what you're saying. I think that's one really good quality about your music. It just feels so raw, and yeah, that's what makes it kind of special for me. But I'm sure everybody else will agree. I suppose you've already sort of answered that about what is kind of inspirational to you. But who do you think are like kind of the figures in Scotland that are really leading the way right now in terms of hip hop? And yeah, who do you think is kind of the biggest sort of inspiration right now? We'll start with Arisa.
So I have a huge amount of respect for Dave Hook of Stanley Odd, for his music, but also for his academic work and for pushing hip hop in a more academic setting. Just in terms of like writing and stuff, I find that the academic world doesn't always take hip hop seriously, and people like Dave Hook are really helping with that. So I have a huge amount of respect for him. In terms of rappers, of course, everyone that's doing their thing here, they're all great. I'm also a huge fan of people like Bems and Empress and Ransom FA and Washington and people like The Honey Farm. In Edinburgh, there's an amazing grime producer called Prop Fiscal who's signed to Hyperdub, and he had a new album out in September, and yeah, he's fantastic. And then there's lots of up and coming people who I have a huge amount of respect for as well, who are slowly building up their fan bases, building up their kind of portfolios, and it's exciting. It's exciting to see where people are going with their innovations and their sounds and different things they're doing.
Yeah, it's definitely a really exciting time for Scottish hip hop. So what do you think, Clarissa, who's kind of inspiring you right now to kind of make music in the scene or whatever?
I think there's so many different people right now doing their thing. That's just inspiring in itself. Like, I just like to see that the kind of diversity of everyone, just kind of, even with the younger generation, not really giving a, they don't really give a shit the same. Do you know what I mean? They're just kind of doing their thing. So I think just hearing a bit of everyone, seeing people, again, like we say, it seems like everyone's just like kind of booked just now doing something like on this stage, that stage. Like, it seems like it's starting to push barriers. Like, obviously you're seeing BEMS doing a lot of that, you're seeing, do you know what I mean, everybody doing a lot of that, do you know? So just now, so yeah, I think that in itself is inspiring, just to see kind of everybody for me, do you know what I mean? Like, that's the most inspiring thing, is seeing everybody just come through, do their thing and flourish. So yeah.
It's interesting what you said about people just doing what they want to do, and that kind of punk attitude in a way, where people are just like, this is what I want to do, so that's it. And I like that about the kind of new sort of hip hop scene that's kind of emerging out of Scotland. So yeah. What do you think, Sean? Who's kind of leading the way, inspiring you?
I think everyone that's popped up in the scene for the past 5-6 years, if you've popped up, you've done something that's of significance in your world or in our world, and you've made the scene not just only Clarissa, or not just only Mogs, or not just only Sean. Like, if you've come and you've put an input onto the scene enough to have an award category made out of it, Scottish Actor of the Year, do you know what I'm saying to you? If you've come and done that and kind of poured water on my face and gone, yo, wake up, everyone's on job now, do you know what I mean? I respect everyone that's done that, and that's just inspiring, do you know what I mean? It's just exciting for me. I love, it's like healthy competition. So I mean, it's not even exists anymore, do you know what I mean? But it's just cool to see, he done 100k streams, I think I'm going for 150 now. That's exciting. As well as before, it would just be like, yeah, I'm going for 10,000 streams, and then you look around, it's like, and then you start looking like you're bragging, do you know what I'm saying to you? But now it's really exciting. It just makes me want to be in the studio every day and look for the next banger. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, everyone is inspiring, man.
Yeah, there definitely is like a real buzz and feeling that it actually could go somewhere big. Like, there's that feeling. I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, Mog, but I don't know if there's been that feeling before that hip hop from Scotland could be actually taken to the next level. So yeah, I don't know if.
I mean, there's always been a lot of belief with people in what they've done and enjoying it. I think that's the main thing. I think if you're not enjoying it, if I never enjoyed this and somebody just dangled a lot of money in front of me, obviously I'd take it, but it would be a job. It wouldn't be something I enjoy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think there's always been the enjoyment factor, and that's the main thing. You know what I mean? People love. Even yesterday, we shot a music video in Glasgow yesterday, and the amount of people who I've known for best part of 20 years who just showed up to be in a fake funeral scene for us, you know what I mean, was incredible. And just, no problem, I'll show up, I'll put on a black suit, I'll come out and I'll do this. So they still love it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that's definitely like the top priority, is that you're enjoying what you're doing at the end of the day.
Definitely.
Yeah. So yeah, well, like, who's kind of inspiring you right now, Mog? Like, who's in this kind of Scottish scene?
Well, I think it's important to give a lot of credit to the people who are running the channels, where everybody gets a chance to have their sort of shine on, because there's so many rappers these days I would never have known their name or who they were, or because I'm not on social media, I don't do the internet much. But watching maybe 1250 or Up to Standard or these channels that I'm lucky enough to have been on at some point recently, there's so many people I've learned their names, and it'll make me go and search for the rest of their music because of that. So I think the people running the channels are the ones really pushing it forward at the moment, for my opinion anyway. For somebody who doesn't do the social media thing, I can go on YouTube and see 10, 20 rappers and that I've never heard of before for this country, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. You could just search Scottish hip hop, but there'd be so much, like, just so much there now. And I don't know if it kind of used to be like that, but now there's just so many new rappers coming up every day, and it's just so cool to see. And I suppose that's why, like, what Arissa's doing as well with her book is so, like, invaluable to the scene. So yeah, if you want, what's your thoughts on that, Arissa? And yeah, tell us a little bit about your book since we're on the topic.
That's really kind of you to say. That's really nice. I guess just based on what everyone's saying, it's, you know, we all know that hip hop has really revolved around London for a very long time and what's happening in London. But I guess we really in recent years are starting to see how much talent there is in every region. And, you know, we're at the point now where I don't think we can automatically look to London to find the absolute best. I think that's something to be excited about, that actually the next big thing could be from somewhere else, and that people are more open to that, which I really like and enjoy seeing. And I think that, you know, someone like Nova winning the Say Award, I think that really meant a lot, especially in the Scottish music industry, just in terms of giving the genre a bit more credit and people taking it a bit more seriously. And, you know, hip hop is a popular and respected genre elsewhere, but I often find that it's maybe a little bit behind here, just in terms of the level of respect in music. And yeah, looking a bit closer to home, I guess we know Scotland has this legacy of, you know, history with hip hop. Of course it does, but I personally wish that there was more industry help, more kind of resources available, especially for women in particular, to succeed.
100%.
Because, you know, my book it's about women in hip hop in the UK, and the thing that I find is that it's a really inspiring time for women in hip hop. But in Scotland, I just wish there were more young female MCs coming through, and I think that there should be a bit more of, you know, help to kind of find the next young female MC that's doing their thing, because it just doesn't, it's not really the same here as it is in other parts of the UK. So that's my hope. But yeah, generally the book is about talking about women that have done great things in UK hip hop and who've kind of been forgotten. And that's like a big thing to me. I just don't want people
That's sick, man.
who have made like an impact in hip hop to be forgotten over time. And unfortunately that often happens with women, especially in music and genres.
Yeah, no, it's needed. That is actually sick. It's needed.
Yeah, that's really important. And I think, as you said, with kind of being more inclusive with women and kind of everybody else, disabled people, something that obviously I talk about quite a lot. So yeah, I do think we are slightly behind in Scotland. And I don't know if that's just like the Scottish mentality is what is doing that, like the cultural mentality in Scotland, where it's slightly different to kind of the rest of the UK, and the fact that, like, we're maybe not as multicultural as other parts of the UK, like places out with Glasgow and Edinburgh sort of thing. So I don't know if that's
I think we
what plays a part.
could also like blame the music industry, because a lot of resources go into London and south of England. So if there was more resources and money up here, I feel like that would make such a difference. So it is the music industry's fault as well. And I think it's changing, but we can all kind of help with that, hopefully.
What I think though sadly plays a part as well, which I don't know how it does, like in a certain way, but if I explain it, you kind of get it. Where, you know how in London we're talking about female MCs and female rappers, and that there's still a handful. It's a handful. So imagine in Scotland, as a male artist, I'm struggling. Then as a female artist, you can only imagine how hard even to fathom the thought that I might get support is. Do you know what I'm saying to you? So I think in terms of the female side, when it comes to rapping and doing music, I think it's just now a case of more Clarissas, more ITs, more. They just need to show their face more, and then the females are going to be like, you know, raw, she's doing it, because that's what Scotland really does. It's always raw, he's doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying to you? So
like, even with that, I think, like, that's why I think even on certain shows, when a lot of people say, oh, like, IT shouldn't be on it because she's a sick, I'm just like, bro, why not though?
Why not?
Why can we not like have rap and then have a nice ballad? Why can we not switch it up, switch up the vibes? It all goes hand in hand, you know. So this is where I think Scotland is behind in thinking that way, of still in that sense of why is all the shows just mainly male based? Like, why can't you mix it up with females, with singers, with this, with that? Like, why not?
Yeah.
Like, make it entertainment, like entertain us.
Mhm.
You know, not to say like rap doesn't entertain, but some people don't want to go and hear back to back to back to back all night long.
Yeah, all right, yeah.
You know, like break it up, give us something to
Yeah.
bit of soul, bit of something, you know.
Yeah, people are doing really cool things in hip hop generally at the moment, like all over the place. But sometimes it feels like we're stuck in one kind of lane, and we should be embracing all the different types of rap and all the different types of hip hop that people are exploring and engaging with. And so, yeah, I think you're right. Maybe we're a bit behind on that here, but we can be hopeful that it's changing, I guess.
There's so many things that could be done, yeah.
Yeah, especially on the kind of the new sound. Like, there's probably still people that kind of don't like the new sound or things like that, but it doesn't mean you can't support it. Like, just because you don't maybe like a sound, it doesn't mean that you can't put them on a show because somebody else will. So I think that's really important as well. And the fact that, yeah, like, we should be able to mix up genres. Like, there's nothing that's kind of stopping us. And I think there's that mentality there, like, as we spoke about. Yeah, is there anything else that there was to kind of mention in terms of that? Is there anything that they've got in their mind?
Can I ask Mog a question quickly? Mog, when you were starting out, were there kind of people around that were willing to kind of support you and help you in terms of, you know, rapping and getting to the next level, or did you feel like you were very much quite alone to begin with?
Well, again, you're talking 20 years ago, so there wasn't a platform for anybody. It wasn't just me, you know what I mean? It's not. Nah, there wasn't really an outlet, to be honest. I remember Thursdays in the art school, you would go and the only kind of place you would go where there was a regular hip hop night, whereas now I'm sure there's a million of them all over the place. But things have changed a lot in the last 20 years. I know obviously the conversation is it's not as good as other places, but compared to 20 years ago, it's night and day for what it used to be. You used to have to travel to certain places on certain nights in order just to make a song, because there wasn't the same pick up your phone, make a song, go to your studio, have a studio in your house, you know what I mean? Few and far between to even get a chance to make music, which the one thing it changed was you had to really, really love it to be into it and to go out your way to get it done. Whereas now anybody can pick it up and just and now drop it at the drop of a hat. It's a lot easier now.
Yeah, totally. Even just like talking to all of you guys here and being on this Zoom, it's, you know, great that we can do this and we can chat virtually, and it makes such a difference with like internet and social media and helping people actually share their music for sure, right?
There's a bridge now.
Yeah.
And I think social media kind of does get a bad rep a lot of the time, but I think there's times where, like, for me, like, I wouldn't have a career really for social media for like all the kind of things that I'm involved in. So I think people sometimes just give it a bad rep and maybe don't use it the right way. But obviously technology has helped us a lot. I don't know what you think about that, Lug, since it's just steering clear of the internet. But yeah,
that's just a personal choice. But I would never say to anybody else don't use it. It's completely up to you. You know what I mean? It's just I'm just too. I don't know. I'm just.
Sorry.
It's never been my thing to be involved in it. You know what I mean? I don't see me picking it up these days.
Yeah, that's fair enough. It's fair enough. Yeah, the thing I was going to mention actually was about like more women in hip hop, and I think it's definitely an issue. And even with, I don't know if anybody's heard of Pop Girls, but I just wanted to mention them that they're doing a lot to kind of get more female artists out there. And I think they found out that kind of a Spotify algorithm, I think, favoured male and men. So the fact that that's a thing in 2022 is just mind-boggling that was kind of found out. So they're really pushing down those barriers. And yeah, I think the fact that you can only name maybe a handful of Scottish female artists off the top of your head it's just a shame, and that needs to change. And I think we're in the right steps to doing that.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. We're getting there, but it's a long road, I think. But we're just talking about social media and stuff. I think the internet and social media has really allowed for like a boom in the kind of spread of hip hop in different scenes in different parts of the UK. Yes,
Yeah.
but it's also given women the chance to just write and release without any kind of permission or intervention from people that say you can't do it. Like we're talking about, you can just share anything, and I really hope to see more kind of collaborations across borders between artists, and maybe social media, people using social media to build like fan bases and just bypassing the music industry, because we can do that now, and it's we should embrace that.
Yeah, especially for like a lot of the subgenres that obviously Clarissa was talking about, that you don't strictly need to be like hip hop, you don't strictly need to rap. I think it's good that you can build your own audience now without needing to cater to people, I guess. But yeah, that's really interesting actually. But yeah, we're coming towards the end actually. Just a couple more things that I wanted to talk to you guys about. So obviously, yeah, the last few years have been difficult with COVID and all that, but I just wanted to ask how hip hop helped you guys through the situation we all went through. I'm sure a lot of people are probably sick of talking about COVID. But yeah, just tell us about how hip hop sort of helped you get through that tough period. We'll start with Sean.
Oh, me? Oh, sure. Sorry. Hip hop. COVID times was probably one of my most prominent times in terms of just kind of getting my stuff across, because it felt like, so I had a case on me for like 5 years that I couldn't travel and do a lot of things, which most people didn't know about. But it felt like COVID leveled the playing ground, so everyone was stuck in the same room, if you could say it, so we could actually showcase us rapping without having to go hire some big budget guy. It was just everyone's phone and made the best man win. You know what I mean? So I think it was weirdly, it was fun. Like during COVID times, it was actually fun creating stuff. Like I had so much time to just sit down and create stuff, and yeah. So hip hop helped me during COVID. I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, I think we all had like so much time just to kill.
Yeah.
So definitely getting in the studio and making some beats or whatever, really, like especially for me, like that's kind of how I got into the scene, was literally needing something to do and I started making beats, then that was it. So yeah, I just like made a big impact on so many people. What about you, Mark? Did it kind of help you through the last couple of years getting in the studio?
Big time. I hadn't wrote in maybe a couple of years, probably since 2018 or 17 or something. I hadn't really wrote or released anything. And as soon as maybe 2-3 months into sitting there doing nothing, I just thought, right, well, it's probably time to start doing this again. And the one thing that got me into was drill music, because I'd never even heard it before. I'd heard people speak about it. And like I was talking about earlier, the channels that the boys have in Scotland that got me to sort of sit down, because I'm normally, it's not even just the social media thing with me. I don't normally spend much time on the internet at all. So you're sitting there with nothing else to do. It gives you no choice. So it made me sort of go through everything and check everything out more than I normally would. And it inspired me to write more, because 2 years of no writing, it turned into writing 60, 70 songs in the last year and a half. You know what I mean? So that's the biggest thing it done for me, was got me just back in the mood to do it again. It inspired me to try something new when it came to the faster tempo kind of music as well.
Yeah, it's really cool that actually brought drill to you, lockdown. So that's really cool that you
I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but we'll see.
No, your tape on the YB was proper good. I really enjoyed it. It was absolutely banger. So it was definitely a really solid drill album. So yeah, well done with that. What about yourself, Clarissa? How did it kind of get you through the last couple of years?
Yeah, it was definitely. I mean, for me, I ended up writing the whole EP came out of COVID, basically unexpectedly. You know, it was just time that I had to myself, which I was like perfect as an artist. You just want all the time in the world just to like wake up and write your thoughts and creatively like put them into different like beats or whatever. So yeah, it literally just started with Attitude Problem, waking up in my kitchen, found a beat, had a whole kind of flow. Started going from there. Pretty Little Thing happened as well, all like just in my kitchen, just me having fun, like cooking, back to back, singing, rapping, whatever. And then next minute, before I knew it, I literally had an EP. So I was like, okay,
Yeah.
put out my first EP. You know, so it wasn't even something that was planned, it was unexpected. So COVID for me was one of the best things that could have happened. Took
Yeah.
time to just do me, you know, take care of my mind, body, soul, right, and just release, and it was good, you know. And now fast forward to this, it's like the reception I've got off of the EP, Honey I'm Gone, is
Yeah.
mad, you know. I'm very grateful, I'm very appreciative. So yeah,
Yeah, it's a really good
definitely
EP, and I
it was a
think
blessing in disguise, wasn't it, for me?
yeah, that project was really good, and I think we spoke about it on the podcast the fact that like you don't think you could escape Carissa last year. You couldn't not hear that EP. So yeah, guy, that live as well was epic. I think I can't remember what it was, but I think it was it Hang? I think it was Hang you performed, wasn't it, last year? And
Yeah.
that was the first time I kind of heard you, and it was proper good.
Nice, thank you. Yeah, it was the first time I met you.
Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna kind of come to a close, I suppose. We've got a couple of wee bits. Just wanted to ask before we head, what we all listen to right now. Obviously, we're all hip hop heads. Who you spinning right now, Scottish or not? Just generally who we liking. We'll start with Mog. Who you listen to right now?
So I do long shifts in work, so that's a long list. You know what I mean? Because every 10 minutes something different's getting put on.
Different, yeah.
So and it's not just hip hop with me. I've got a broad taste in music. So again, literally the kitchen I work in, everybody's got something different on every 10, 20 minutes. So I'm listening to everything is the easiest vague answer.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Well,
cool.
the last song I listened to today on my iPod before I came here to my dad's house was Jay-Z Kind of Love. So that was my track.
Nice, man. That's a perfectly acceptable track.
Mhm.
Yeah, love that tune. But yeah, what about you? Arissa, is there anything that you've got on repeat at the moment?
Yeah, so I really like Shabo's recent single Crocs. I think it's really cool, really fun song. Also Deny Her's Superstar. And I think probably like everyone else in the world, I've been listening to Kendrick's new album a lot, like everyone has. But also another record, Infinity Knives and Brian Ennals released an album called King Cobra recently, which is really, really great. And I've been having had that on repeat quite a lot. They're American, but yeah, it's a really good record.
Nice. It's cool to see that, obviously. It's not just hip hop, it's kind of everything.
Yeah.
But I think that's just the way things are now. What about you, Sean? What you spinning apart from Boudoir, which I'm spinning constantly?
Well, apart from like what everyone's listening to, apart from Kendrick Lamar, I actually haven't listened to his album. I've only listened to one song.
Wow.
I wait till everyone stops raving about it, about something, and I go in and I sit down and I listen to it. So apart from that, I always listen to a lot of Jay-Z. That's really just because of like the mindset. You know what I'm saying? Like it's almost like a podcast for me. You know what I mean? So when I listen to Jay's raps, you know what I mean, and that's really who I mostly listened to when it came to rap. Do you know what I'm saying to you? So even up to today, like if I don't want to listen to no tacky stuff, it's probably Jay-Z. I couldn't pinpoint what song it is. I just have a playlist and I just press play and just listen to a bar. Oh, that bar is hard. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, Jay-Z.
Yeah.
He's a really play.
It's definitely quite interesting the way you mentioned that. It's kind of the new way of listening to music, I suppose. It's like it's just so varied now. Like a lot of people, you say your favorite rapper, like it's like the impossible question for so many people, just because there's so much out there. But yeah, I suppose I'm spinning Boudoir, like I mentioned.
What?
That's just it's like glued to my brain. That I listened to that, and I listened to the new Killer Mike single with Young Thug. It's proper good, and it's properly one of those hip hop songs that's like for the people, protest, traditional, old school vibes. Yeah, that's such a good such a good track. What else have we listened to? Cardi B's new one with Kanye is proper good. The beat is crazy.
With who?
Oh,
Cardi
Kanye's new
B and
track.
Kanye West.
All right.
It's
Kanye's new track, True Love. That's a sick track.
It's a banger. No, that one is a banger.
He
That one.
sampled the extension. That was nice.
oh yeah, the one before. Yeah, that's a tune as well. I love that track. But he's got a new one with Cardi B. It's like a proper
Yeah.
banger. I don't know if you've heard
Sick.
it, but it's really good.
Fire.
And then Kevin Gates' new album. I don't know if anybody has heard of Kevin
I'm
Gates.
not even
But
check that out.
it's insane. Like he's literally just been tucked away the last few years, and he just came out guns blazing. It's proper good.
Jim Jones have been dropping tracks as well.
Nice. Do check that out.
Oh,
But yeah, so we're coming to the end, and the last thing I want to ask is what's next for everybody in the next 6 months to a year. We could probably talk about it for a while, but just give us a quick sort of lowdown on what's coming up. We'll start with you, Mark. What's next?
Follow up to the album I done with YB last year. So Teeter 2, it's called, a 10-track album. I've got an EP with Weird coming out, which is a 5-track album, and my band, which is the main focus for going forward, the Ducks. We just started shooting our first music video yesterday, so that'll be the main focus. Will be the Ducks whenever that gets up and running.
Nice one. The Ducks are really good. I've listened to you actually recently.
Thank you.
The kind of last few months, and really enjoyed them, man.
It's
What
just
about
been
yourself?
live to this point, but there'll be
Yeah.
something properly released soon.
Nice. Looking forward to that. What about yourself, Arissa? What you got coming up? You're probably really busy.
I'm pretty solidly looking ahead to the Edinburgh festivals. As I said before, I edit Fest magazine, so we've got 4 issues coming out between the end of July and the end of August. So things are going to be very full on, but I am looking forward to it. I'm just looking forward to things happening again and being able to see people like out and about. And another thing I guess is worth mentioning is I'm involved in a community interest company called We Are Here Scotland, which is all about supporting creatives of colour in Scotland. And we've got plans and events in the future. So if anyone's interested, keep an eye out on what we're doing, I guess.
Again, you're one of the people that is just everywhere, but you're doing so much. I don't know how you managed to do so much. But
I don't know either.
too many pies. Share a bit, Arusha. Share a bit, man.
yeah, exactly. What about you, Sean? You've always got things happening as well. So
yeah, I've got my first headline show, my acoustic headline show. I'm doing an acoustic headline show. Working on something in Edinburgh. I was about to say where, and I remember this. But yeah, just a dope alcoholic company that I'm doing it with, just a collaboration with them. And yeah, so festivals, and I am planning a tour outside this continent, 2023.
Watch out.
Yeah. You gotta draw out the places. Yeah.
Sean focuses on the list, man.
Oh, my gaming as well.
Yeah, that too.
I'm gonna do a lot of gaming and challenging a lot. So everyone plays video games in here.
Hello.
I'm gonna go around Scotland and challenging people and just playing games. So
Okay. Or need to get a game of FIFA if you play FIFA.
there you go.
Yeah. What about you, Clarissa? What you got coming?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. I'm literally finishing this year off with King Tut's gig coming up. Got a gig in Stereo, a couple of other low-key gigs as well, have not been announced yet, and I'm about to start working on an album as well. So yeah, just finishing off calm really. Anything else that comes up. But yeah, the album is the main focus. So yeah, it's going to take time to work on that.
Yeah, that's exciting. Exciting things going on for everybody. I suppose, like for me, Hip Hop Scotland, we had our first show. That was a big success. We're going to keep doing that, hopefully every 3 months. So watch out for more announcements and more shows and podcasts and all the good stuff. So yeah.
And tune into my radio station show every second month at DJ at Radio Benavida.
Be doing that.
Perfect.
Come on.
What's your DJ name again? I keep
DJ
forgetting.
Dream Girl.
That's the one.
Hey.
Cheers. Has anybody got anything they want us to kind of plug or mention before we head? that's kind of us, I think we're
I'm good.
done.
Thank you for having us. It's been nice to chat to everyone.
Yeah,
Yeah, thank you very much for having
Thank you
us.
very much.
Dope, guys. This has been dope.
yeah, it's
It's
been
been a
fun.
pleasure to be on. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's going to go out on the day, and then obviously the YouTube things. So yeah, keep doing what you're doing, guys, and yeah, I'm sure we'll knock those down.